My name is Jordyn, and I'm a psychic medium, and I'm also the owner of Moonlight's Apothecary, which is kind of a metaphysical company based around energy and using nature to kind of infuse change into your life. Okay, so whenever I realized the manifestation power and the law of attraction, I had heard about a movie called The Secret whenever I was like, I don't know, 18, so 10 years ago. But these prayers and this insight actually wasn't working for me. I would always try to visualize these amazing things happening to me, and it never really panned out for me. I would pray and try to connect to a higher source, but my life was kind of in shambles, really. I was a single mom, and I was going through a really expensive and rough custody battle. I had just lost my job, and I couldn't work my massage therapy career because the hours of daycare wasn't aligning with the hours of daycare. I had to give up my apartment and move in with a friend that lived about an hour away from where I was, so the affordable childcare I had went out the door very quickly. And I could not find a job down there, so the jobs I was working were very just here and there. They weren't very abundant. And the situation with my roommate was getting pretty toxic. They were doing renovations on their house, and they started living in the living room, and me and my daughter lived in one room, and then I would just try to go find jobs on the internet, and I'd end up in the bathtub just I just need space. So things were not working out. My daycare check had bounced, and so I knew I only had a few more days before they figured that out, and I knew I didn't have any money. So I was kind of in a bad spot. I tried to pull up my account on the internet on my phone, and my phone was off, so I couldn't connect to the internet. There wasn't any money in my bank account, if you're wondering. So I looked in my wallet, and I only had $7. And I was like, this was my groceries and everything I had. This was going to take care of my bills, my daycare, and pay for my groceries. I had remembered that basil actually attracted money, and I really didn't have anything else to lose. So I went to the spice cabinet and I stole my roommate's basil, and I sprinkled it all over my $7, and I tried to spread them out as far as possible and just kind of made them look a lot bigger than they were. And I went and I found all the change I had. Still wasn't $8. So I just sat there and I lit a candle, and I had all the things from my massage therapy career, which was at the time 3 essential oils and maybe 1 crystal. But I took all of these things and I took them in my hands, and I was just I need a miracle. And I really sat in that, feeling like the basil could actually create a miracle for me and to make my money somehow win the lottery. I didn't win the lottery. I actually don't remember much after that moment. In fact, nothing really happened. I think I might have made $14 the next day, and that didn't really take care of things, but somehow money did come. But what really impressed me was rapid change that happened in my life. Things between me and my roommate were not good. Actually, what happened was she caught me talking some smack about her. It's kind of in my Gemini nature. And, living with somebody, they kind of drive you crazy. So anyway, she figured that out. She's like, Jordyn, you need to find your next step in your next living situation. And I got a phone call from another friend who just got back into the country. And she said, I need a roommate, and it would really help me out if you lived with me financially. She lived in a better part of town with lots of opportunities. And she had another single mom living in that home, so I had somebody to watch my daughter. So it wasn't so much about being a millionaire or attracting all of this money, but through that, I became abundant because I could work the hours I needed to work. And this gave me a lot more opportunities. So once I realized that, I started using herbs and oils for everything. I mean, I got a little out of control. I was like just making these lotions and slathering myself head to toe to kind of attract clients to me. I would use it for protection and to attract different friends to me. I even used it for love. And I cast an intention out with the red rose and some lavender oil to bring me somebody for me and my daughter. And that man I met 2 weeks later in the ocean on vacation, and he's running my booth right now. So it's not so much about how it happens, it's just how you manifest it. Because everything is made of energy. Everything has its own frequency. And I don't think this really kind of sinks into us, into a society. Your very words have energy. Your emotions hold frequency. That's why they call spelling, because every word you spell is casting a spell into the universe. That's why you should be careful about the speech you use and the emotions you hold. But like I said, just having those visualizations never really worked for me. But what I realized was that there are these energies that will kind of merge with you and create something bigger with your intention. You see, crystals hold a vibration, and they're kind of big in the metaphysical community. I don't know if you've noticed all the crystals here today, but some of these crystals hold such a vibration that it can actually change your DNA and heal you. But I can't say that, so don't quote me on the healing part. Colors actually hold energy. Foods that you eat hold energy, and you can create intentions through the foods you eat. The moon phases hold incredible energy, and they actually can change the way that they affect us on Earth. Like, they actually have something called lunatics. This is actually from Luna. So the full moon is going to affect you. There's more births, there's more people going insane. And somehow in our society, we still think that we are just floating around here and nothing affects us. That's just not true. The elements affect us. The wind, the water, fire. Fire is very transformational. So I kind of realized this, and I started to use the moon energy and utilize these powers to kind of boomerang my intentions out. The new moon is really good for beginning new ventures. Anything new you want to start, a new moon is going to help that along. Whereas a full moon is going to give any of your intentions more power. And the astrological sign that it's aligned with also has their own energies. So for instance, we're in Capricorn moon right now, so it's a lot of go do it energy. It's a lot more hard-headed, stubborn energy. I don't know if any of y'all are Capricorns, but it's a very strong, fast kind of frequency that you can work with. But once I started to realize that these things were actually taking effect, because I still was pretty skeptical, I don't know, for the first year I was doing it, and I was just practicing these things because it felt good, and it put me in a better state. But I realized that you could actually build a massive boomerang of intention, because the thing about it is, your intentions, they are energy. And you can pray, and you can send out that thought into the universe, and it will come back to you at some point. But if you add a layer of energy, like say you want to increase your psychic eye. You could get some kava kava and utilize those energies, and it'll become a bigger force field around that. Or you could ask for the element fire to kind of transform your thought process and merge with you. Because actually what you're doing is you're merging and you're becoming this thought. And then you can add oils and crystals that align with your thought process in the cosmos. And it's just huge. By that time, the universe doesn't have any other choice but to see you, because you're putting out so much energy and working with something that also has the same intention and energy that you have. So it's really actually pretty simple to do these, kind of build these recipes of success. And what you're going to do is you're just going to hold the intention. Like, somebody say something that you want or an intention you may want to manifest.
Money.
Money. Okay, money. Citrine, the crystal citrine, green avertine, they both hold properties of good luck and abundance. So you could use those things to kind of draw in the energy of that. Basil, like we talked about, basil oil, ginger for power. Let's see, you could do cinnamon. These all are going to draw abundance into your life. And you can burn down the color green in a candle, or soak in a bath with some green basil leaves with just that thought and just soaking in that visualization of having money come to you, and it will. And this really isn't a secret. The Egyptians did it all the time. They were using rituals for manifesting. They were using lavender oil for beauty and geranium oil for courage. And this is pretty much Cleopatra's like routine, and that's why she was so beautiful. She would just go and she would just kind of drench herself in oil. Jesus would get his feet washed by prostitutes in the oils. They'd wash it with their hair. How symbolic is that? It's not any surprise that the 3 wise men actually brought gold, myrrh, and frankincense to baby Jesus, which all align with spirituality and healing, which was like a spiritual awakening at that time for the people to be rocked away from their religions and kind of realize that they can get away from that. It's kind of turned into something else now, but it's still, those energies are all over and written in our history. But we're so lost in our technology right now that we don't really see what we can do and where we can go with our life and the successes we can have. But we're coming back to a holistic mindset. Over the last century, we've kind of gotten away from natural medicines. We've kind of disposed of the idea of healing through nature, and we've picked up a lot of chemicals along the way. But luckily, we're coming back to a place, and I can see that all of us are in more of a like mind here, that we are coming into holistic and metaphysical living. Now, we all know about the benefits of herbs to kind of heal, but we don't think about it on how to manifest success for yourself. You can align yourself with the herbs or the natural things of the earth. It doesn't have to be herbs, whatever you're drawn to. The earth itself, trees, these can all help you create a life you want to live. And it's helped me create a life I wanted to live, because I'm not a single mom struggling to pay my bills anymore. I manifested my house last year, and it was a lot of energy, I tell you. I was very tired after that ritual, but I burnt down a gold candle, and I put all of myself into it. And I just really brought in the herbs of success. I'm pretty sure I just used a gigantic quartz, because there was some something in the back of my head that was saying that, no, you can't manifest that. You're not good enough. And that's your ego. So I had to really get past a few things before I came into that. But I did it. And I have a husband. Something I really wanted was love, and for my daughter to have somebody. And now we have another daughter. We have our own business, and I'm living a life that I feel really blessed. I feel incredibly happy to be up here sharing this with you because I'm very passionate about it. But I think that if you can just think about something you really want, and you have trouble like me on visualizing or a prayer manifesting, then this could be really helpful for you. And I've actually built my company around that because this is something I breathe and I live. Do you have any questions so far? Anybody? Okay. I feel like you can build a prayer and a recipe on steroids if you just kind of sit in and ask yourself what you want. Now, I had a problem with drinking, and this was actually clouding my vision for my life. I started to use amethyst, which opened my third eye, and it helped with bringing clarity into my life. And it's actually, I found out this recently, within the last year and a half, it's an addiction stone, so it helps addicts kind of recover from what they're craving. Now, I didn't know that at the time, and I always knew I had psychic abilities, but it wasn't until I started wearing the stone on a regular basis and utilizing the properties that I could actually put down the alcohol. And alcohol has its own vibration too. And it's not a very positive one, but it's kind of funny because it's the only real substance that's allowed here. And there's something that clouds the pineal gland whenever you ingest too much. And it'll kind of take you away from what you really want. And I'm not saying don't drink, because, hey, I'm probably going to go have a beer after this, because I've been very stressed out about talking to y'all today. But I have learned how to control it. And it is through kind of coming into my purpose that I've realized that I didn't need that to be happy. Because when I was a single mom, I really liked to drink like wine with my neighbors, but it wasn't helping me further my life in any way. Quartz crystals kind of attune your consciousness and lift you into a higher vibration. They'll align your chakras and kind of remove any blockages you may have in your energy field, and it kind of helps you realize your own truths. And it's very healing. Rose quartz. I think that's the crystal I actually use in the ritual to attract James into my life. And what's really interesting about this one is it's more about the unconditional love that you can have for yourself and for other people, and kind of say, maybe they're not attacking me, maybe that's my perception, maybe that's their truth but not mine. And it actually helps heal the heart trauma. Black tourmaline, if you attract spirits like me, is really beneficial because the protection qualities of this, it actually absorbs negativity. And it's not just spiritual negativity, it's if you're an empath and you pick up on low vibrations of jealousy or hatred or anybody just being a hater, it'll kind of absorb those and be in a bad mood.
Yeah.
But what I've realized through all of this and using all of these things as I grow more in faith with nature every day. And back then I wasn't very, well actually I went on kind of a spiritual journey. I was really religious and raised in a home where I couldn't even watch Barney because he was related to a serpent because he was a dinosaur.
Yeah.
So it went from there, and I was having premonitions at a very young age that they weren't suppressing them by any means, but they weren't nurturing them either. So all of these premonitions that were happening to me, I didn't have like anybody being like, well, let's explore this. It was more like, that's really interesting, and let's brush it under the rug. And we all have those psychic insights, don't we? So I went from that to more of the dark side of playing with Ouija boards, which aren't necessarily bad, but if you do them stupidly like I did, in a graveyard, with your friends, unprotected, then I say, yeah, it's probably not the best. Which actually had me throw everything about nature away, and I was like, I'm done. So it was like all my crystal books, my entire wardrobe, because I was scared to death because something negative was following me. Wish I knew about black tourmaline back then. But then I went into this really religious place, and that's kind of where it got me, I don't know, confused. I'm not saying religion is bad. I think everybody has their own path. But for me, I didn't feel the connection, and I was getting a lot of criticism from the people that I was around, which was my church. And I actually love those people. I see light in everybody, but they didn't see light in me. Actually, I had my boss get me a job, or I'm sorry, my pastor get me a job, and they wouldn't let me in the choir or anything, so I just kind of tried my best to like really put myself in there after all of that negativity that had happened to me and feeling negative entities on me constantly following me, that kind of thing. And my mom had called them off, and I started going to this church, and I couldn't work the massage therapy like I was talking about, and I went, and he got me a job with this man working in his home. And I was so happy because this is something I prayed for. I had prayed for it for a long time. And whenever I got the job, I worked there, and he got a divorce with his wife. And then he tried to make me his new wife. And whenever that didn't work out, that's whenever I got fired. And at the beginning of my story, when everything started going downhill. So it brought me back to a place of oneness with myself and kind of depending on that. And then now I've attuned myself to my purpose through the herbs and crystals and the moon phases that have really showed me where and what I'm supposed to be doing. Not because they have those powers over me, but because I am in alignment with myself through them. And my most recent find, kyanite, has been very useful in realizing how to further my soul purpose and where to go. But you can work from a place of love and light, in meditation or prayer through these things and incorporate them. And it doesn't mean that you don't have to be Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, a witch, a shaman, whatever you are. But you can incorporate them. They are of the earth. These are things that are affecting us all the time anyway. The foods we eat affect us. I'm actually on a diet right now called the psychic diet, and I don't ingest any asparagus because it is on the same spiritual field or frequency of pork, but in the vegetable world. I don't eat any pork because it kind of clouds the pineal gland. And man, I miss bacon. I've tried to stop eating all red meat, and I try to eat the rainbow, and I actually kind of bless these colors to align with my chakras to open these up. So this week I ate a lot of yellow plants to help me have the confidence to come up here. And I tried to limit my intake of alcohol, like I said, and I quit smoking cigarettes. Still want them. Basically, the bottom line is you can manifest at a rapid pace if you incorporate more things into your practice. It's not about how much, it just, from my findings and from my theory, if you add an intention and you keep growing with herbs and oils and crystals and an element, then it gets bigger than life and it comes back faster. I really wanted a husband. And I really put a lot of energy into thinking of how that relationship would look. Back then it wasn't husband. It was like a nice guy who was really cute, right? So I just blessed those herbs. I stole a rose, actually, from the neighboring rose bush, and I just cut it off and I blessed it. And I just said, I want my love to look like this. And I just put a bunch of lavender oil, and it was so unclean and dirty, and I got my entire room disgusting with ashes of sage and everything. My point is, I wanted it bad enough, and those things had the same intentions and energy and frequency that made my thought process go out so quickly. So I won my custody battle, drove straight to Florida, and met him 2 weeks later. Like, that's not a coincidence. Some spiritual intervention. You can have drastic change from being broke to completely abundant. And it's just an intention. But I want to teach you how to do it a little bit faster. That's all I have. Do we have any questions?
How do you feel like you got over all those people that were telling you like this, explaining logically things that you felt, like, oh, it could just be this, or oh, it could just be this? Like, what do you feel like helped strengthen you in that?
I think it was just seeing over time how it would just keep manifesting. Because at first I didn't even have the belief that basil was going to bring me money.
Yeah.
And I mean, I needed a miracle, and I put those intentions in. But like I said, I only doubled my money. It was $14. Yeah. I told that to a friend the other day, and they're like, Jordyn, that's $14.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but 14 is more than I had, and 14 was about 3 meals for me and my daughter.
Yeah.
And that fed me, and that gave me more faith to keep growing on.
Cool.
Anybody else?
So tell us the story of your love story. Did you meet him here, or did you meet him in Florida?
Okay, so I was in my house 5 years ago, I think it was. I had 2 roommates. I was working a job that I was working overnights, and living with these 2 other females, which can be a lot of drama, became just a little bit too much for me. So I was just ready for the next step. I felt like I had taken a Reiki course, and I felt like I'd really healed my heart chakra because I was in a really abusive space with him, and I almost died. So once I let those things go and was healed and was living with these ladies and felt like I had finally moved on from that, especially the custody. For some reason, I felt like once I'm in the custody, I'll be ready for a relationship. That's what I told myself. That's what I kind of manifested. But it was once I set that intention out that I won the custody battle, and then 2 weeks later I left for vacation to Florida to go visit my mom because she moved there maybe a year and a half before. And I was out there for about 5 days before I had met him, and he was the neighbor's kids. Like, they had a beach house in the same area, and my mom and his mom would like go have margaritas. And then my mother's boyfriend said, the Copelands have a cute son. You should check him out because he's about your age, Jordyn. And this is my mom's boyfriend that I did not like. So I was like, what do you know, Mark? You have good taste in men. Like, whatever. So I did go out on the boat, and then as soon as I saw James walking across, I was like, oh, he's attractive, but he looks like a fresh cut, meaning he looked a little bit too preppy for me. So I kind of just let that go. But I was still real flirty on that boat after about a beer. So I was just, like, hi. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought, hey, maybe like a, I don't know, summer fling. Like, I'm happy. I just won my custody battle. I feel like I am on top of the world. Little did I know that we would continue to talk. By the end of that day, I was calling him my boyfriend. I was intoxicated, I'm not gonna lie. And then we were supposed to go out that night, but I didn't have a chance to talk to him because I fell asleep on the couch and he tried to come over, and then I was leaving town the next day. So I don't know, I got his number from my stepdad and I texted him that I was really sorry, and I ended up just meeting him, talking to him, and then a month later we had our first date. We went back to Florida. He was from Alabama, so we were both like leaving our states to see each other, and then we just kind of fell in love over text messages. So yeah, and then we got engaged a year later, and then we got 6 months later, and then we got married a year later secretly, and then we had our ceremony 6 months after that. It was crazy.
Awesome.
Anything else? Thank you, everybody.